Interface Video, in cooperation with Fairfield Federal, presents Fairfield Today. Brought to you by Fairfield Federal Savings and Loan, Fairfield Medical Center, Fair Hope Hospice and Palliative Care, the Frankie Smith Funeral Home, Fairfield County Adam H., Dagger Law, and the Fairfield County Board of Developmental Disabilities.
Hello friends, and welcome to Fairfield Today. Paul Jasson with you. Thank you for joining us. Today we're going to talk about a little artsy things we like to get into periodically. It's a pleasure to have Wendy Gregory with us, of the Executive Director, Fairfield County Heritage Association. Wendy, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
You are relatively new, not new, but back in March, so what's that, 6 months maybe or so?
So a little of the shine is wearing off.
Well, yeah, and you're still there, so that says something.
Yes.
Tammy Drobina retired from this position, not retired. If you know Tammy, then we can talk about that. She's still very involved in the Heritage Association. But Wendy came aboard. You came from the AHA side of things.
Yes,
you did
I was
that.
at AHA Children's Museum for 4.5 years.
Wonderful place out there, I guess out, I don't know if they call it the mall, what they call it anymore. Whatever it is, you're out there, you're by the golf course out there?
They are.
Yeah. Not you, they are. And so you're here since March. Your thoughts now as you look back on 6 months?
It's a very different organization than AHA. There are a lot more moving parts. There are a lot more people. We're really driven by volunteers, and that was a big shift because there were 80 volunteers doing all kinds of things. And then with 2 houses and coordinating all that, and it's been a learning curve. But I started in history. I have a history degree from The Ohio State University.
Go Bucks!
Go Bucks. And I started at, it was Ohio Historical Society, Ohio Village. I was there at the end of college and the year after. So I've done some museum work, and history is my first passion, and educating children. So that AHA was a good fit. So
now you're head of the Heritage Association, and of course Lancaster, that's kind of the downtown here is really built on heritage. When you look around, we've got the Sherman House, the Georgian, the great Square 13 around us here. This is probably the perfect community to have an organization like yours, because heritage means a lot.
It does, and it's so rich, and we're right in the middle of it. You know, both those houses are right here. We walk back and forth between the houses every day, and we're just surrounded by it. And it makes it really easy to sink into those stories and think about those stories every day. So it's the perfect combination of being in that historical building and then walking these streets, and just you see a building and you think, I wonder what the story is. So it's like that every day, and that is the fun part of it. There's just so much there. And
we don't talk about it often, but I think about how all that, I think, as I remember it, and you're probably much more well-versed in this than me, but there was several ladies in town. I don't know if there were a dozen of them, but I think it was around the time they were going to start tearing down the Georgian. It had gone great disrepair. All the years I had grown up, it hadn't been much, and it got worse and worse, and it was really an eyesore at one point. But I think these ladies, thank them for, I know P.D. Smith was in there, and there were just great ladies involved in this. They had a vision that could be saved, and from that, the Georgian was saved, and now the Heritage Association is a player here. You have the Sherman House, the Georgian, such a fabulous location. You've gone to telethons now. You've gone to fundraisers around the community. Heritage Association has really stepped up and is involved in the community.
Yes, and when they added county to their name, they really decided that they needed to broaden it, yes. And so we are visiting all the little county museums and really trying to connect with the local people to try and tell the greater story. And that's really one of our goals for the coming year, is to really emphasize the county part of our name.
And isn't it so great that, for example, the Glass Museum, just down the street from where we are, how many little, like you say in the county, the Griley, so many little museums that all the communities, Bremen, everybody has something to offer, something to bring to the table.
They do, and I think when we join together and they use us to spread the word, you know, if they use us for promotional things, or even graphic design, using our platform, we're all stronger and the story is richer.
Mm-hmm.
So we're really excited about that part.
And we've had, this is Wendy Gregory, Executive Director of the Heritage Association, with us today. We've had Michael Johnson on. You and Michael started the same day back in March.
Yes.
Please give our best to him. He's a busy guy, we know that. He's got all the heritage things he does. He's got the basketball team. He's the master of that. He's a tremendous audio-visual guy. He's got a lot of irons in the fire. I'm sure he's a real asset to have on your team.
He is, and he is just a fun person to work with.
He is.
Every
I can
day,
believe that.
it is just fun to see what he's going to come up with, and he is such a good storyteller. He's got the history degree and the passion for history, but he also has all the technology skills we need to tell our story in today's world. So it's exciting and fun.
That's a good combination.
It is
to not
a
only be
rare
able to
combination.
go out and do that, which a lot of people have that. Have the passion for history, but he can put it together. He can see the bigger picture. I'm sure when you need anything audiovisual done, Michael, come here.
Yes. Well, if he isn't already ahead of me and doing it on his own. I mean, he
He's a good
really
guy.
has the vision, but he's 40 years old. He's also going to talk to a different demographic than I am
Sure.
or than, we have previously. So I love that he's looking at how to bring a younger crowd to heritage.
Let's talk about a couple of events that you've got coming up. Again, Wendy Gregory with us. She's the Executive Director of the Fairfield County Heritage Association. You've got some things coming up here as we go into the fall time of the year. Speaking of Michael, and I suspect this is something Michael's going to be involved in, the cemetery walk down at Elmwood. Is that Michael?
Of course.
It would be right up his alley, and he's done it before.
Yes, and that's one of his passions
Yes.
is restoration, and he has the knowledge base there. It's something, though, that Heritage has done before in the past, where we have costumed interpreters at different
At
grave
locations,
sites
yes.
telling
And
some
Elmwood
of
is
the
the
history.
perfect place.
Yes, so that will be fun, and it's $20 per person, and we're going to do 3 waves, so 2, 2:30, and 3, because it's usually pretty well attended.
Now, how would people get tickets to that?
They'll be able to do it on our website, or they can call our office.
And your website is?
Fairfieldheritage.com, and the phone number is 740-654-9923.
So he's done the murder mystery thing, and now he's got the cemetery walks, and I imagine on the 30th of October, there'll be, everybody will be in costume.
Yes.
That's involved. And I'm sure there'll be that vibe of Halloween,
Of course.
of a scary time, of an earlier time than where we are now, and things that have gone on in the past.
Mm-hmm. And Elmwood is rich
Oh.
with all the stories, so we will be picking out some of the best to share.
So when you think back about your time here, and again, you started back in March, so you've been here a while now. Any major changes that have been going on, still going on? Any things that you kind of move around a little bit in your time here now as the executive director?
No big changes, but we're really looking at what the pandemic has done to the world and to the way we operate in the world. It has impacted how many volunteers we have and who wants to work and when, so we've really had to shuffle schedules around. People are getting pickier about what they're going to do, so we have people who are passionate about us, but we don't have so many of the people who volunteer here and there and everywhere around town. People are getting, very selective. So we've had to adapt to that. And we've done the time tours that we started during the pandemic times, and that's worked out. So mostly it's structural and adapting to a changing world, but everything else is pretty much the same.
You came in, we won't say the tail end because maybe we're in the tail end of all this COVID thing now, but you came in and things were still pretty good back in March. And I'm sure you're a Zoom meetinged out, as most people are. Everybody's had their fair share of Zoom meetings that do a job like you do. But of the people that I have on, even in nonprofits or business, have you seen things that you had to change? Again, you talked about adapting. Have you seen things that you had to do because of the COVID situation that you're going to continue to do? I see that often. People talk about, well, we were forced to do it, but we found out it was a better way.
Yeah. I think fundraising, what Tammy and Mary did with the telethon, that was really a pivot of how to raise money and not have any contact. Mm-hmm. But it's turned into something that we probably will continue to do. It's turned out to be popular. It's a way that we in the office as staff can pull it off without a lot of help. And it really tells our story and gets our message out. And then we're using those videos from the telethon to take to speaking engagements. When I was at the Kiwanis, you saw the video that Michael did.
Right.
So it's sort of turned into a way of doing things that we can use for the rest of the year.
Wendy Gregory, Heritage Association, thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Keep busy.
We
No
do.
problem. No problem. Fairfield County Heritage Association, thank you for joining us on Fairfield Today, and we'll see you out there.
Interface Video, in cooperation with Fairfield Federal, presents Fairfield Today. Brought to you by Fairfield Federal Savings and Loan, Fairfield Medical Center, Fair Hope Hospice and Palliative Care, the Frankie Smith Funeral Home, Fairfield County Adam H., Dagger Law, and the Fairfield County Board of Developmental Disabilities.
I want a doctor who listens to me.
From primary care to specialty medicine, we put your needs first by treating you like a person, not a number. Our primary care team will help you identify your healthcare needs and set goals for success, regardless of where you are in your wellness journey. We care for patients of all ages, with offices that are close to you. Whatever you're searching for, you can find it at Fairfield Medical Center.
The Frankie Smith Funeral Home and Crematory in Lancaster and the Johnson Smith Funeral Home in Baltimore have a long and wonderful history of serving our community. Feel free to give us a call at 740-653-0652. Stop in and see us at either of our two locations, 405 North Columbus Street in Lancaster and 207 South Main Street in Baltimore. Respect for tradition, regard for change.
Greetings from Fairfield DD. We are excited to share the joys of the fall season with you. As we move into cooler weather, we hope to see you at Football Friday nights and the county fair. As you enjoy the season of changing colors, we also want to remind you of the change we hope to see. We pursue a vibrant community where everyone leads a fulfilling life and everyone makes meaningful contributions. Don't forget to stop by our social purpose enterprise, Art and Clay on Main and Square 7 Coffee House, to paint a new piece for your table this season or enjoy a handcrafted fall beverage.
You walked down the aisle and promised happily ever after. Sometimes happily ever after means ending a relationship. We know the conversations are not easy. Deciding what's best for you, your children, and your next steps takes work and communication. At Dagger Law, we know there are no monsters in a divorce, only people trying to find their way. Local, trusted, experienced. Dagger Law.